As communities across the country try to deal with the mass shootings we've seen over the last few years, what may go further to help with that problem just got a big boost from Congress.
Now, lawmakers argue about how much more gun control we need. North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis sat down with our senior political reporter to talk about what he thinks is the real answer in tonight's Buckley Report.
And I rise today to honor the brave men and women in North Carolina.
During his nearly 10 years in Congress, North Carolina U.S. Senator Thom Tillis has learned a valuable lesson.
You pass a bill in Washington, you think everybody knows it, but you got to come down here and get into the mechanics.
That's why while Congress is in recess, Tillis is crossing the state, meeting with people to talk about what he considers to be two huge bills that he helped to pass. The first is the Safer Communities Act.
Single largest investment in mental health in the U.S. government history in any bill. And if we implement it right, we'll be able to benefit in the same way a couple of states who have already implemented as a part of pilots, to have dramatic reductions in mental health incarcerations, mental health emergency room admissions.
Multiple victims down.
Tillis and others are convinced that this will be key to dealing with the mental illness that experts say is at the heart of so many of our mass shootings. Anyone who's serious about gun violence says we've got to do something about mental health. We have lost more than 90% of our mental health beds since 1960. We got a long way to go on this. I mean, can the federal government do this alone?
We're talking about fulfilling a promise that was made when the old warehouses for mental health were shut down in the late 60s and early 70s, but they never fulfilled that promise.
Tillis' other big push is to find out what communities need from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which will go a long way to rebuilding roads and bridges. Are these things the federal government should be doing? Shouldn't these be state and county projects?
Well, they always are. If you take a look at the infrastructure that we've invested back when I was Speaker in Greensboro, you can look at Honda, you can look at Toyota, you can look at the vibrance of the airport, and it all points to state priorities for infrastructure.
They have nothing, and yet it went on and on and on and continues to.
But looming over all this for Republicans is who will be their nominee in 2024. What's your party going to do about Donald Trump?
We need to talk about indictments. We need to talk about the weaponization of the DOJ or the FBI. There's a fair argument to be had there. I understand these other issues that are rightfully taking some of our attention, but let's also focus on the issues that are discussed around the kitchen table that's hurting people's disposable income, that are seeing their income be basically cut through inflation.
Doesn't someone in the Republican Party have to stand up and say, we can do better than someone who behaves like Donald Trump behaves?
Well, I think, President Trump, who I've maintained a good relationship with, has his own personality. I think that what we have to do is be able to walk and chew gum at the same time.
The arguments about President Trump, Tillis believes, is distracting from real problems like what's still going on at the southern border.
The only people that like the current status at the border right now are, I would say, naive people who think that we should have open borders, and the cartels who are making nearly $1 billion a year, the majority of that coming from human trafficking. It is a humanitarian crisis. It's a national security crisis. The border has to be secured.
Issues we'll continue to cover through Election Day. Bob Buckley, Fox 8 News.
And Tillis says that even if former President Trump doesn't return to office in 2025, he would like to see us return to many of the policies during Trump's administration that Tillis says were effective in securing the border.